Hey guys, welcome back to Powerstroke Boys. Today we're going to be making a custom stack kit for my 2002 7.3 Powerstroke. Alright you guys, so the old man's giving me a hand here. So that little center point right there in the middle, that's the center of the truck with the hood line, okay? Where that little divot is in the body line. So what we did was we took a measurement and the pipe's going to come up basically right here above the charge pipe, alright? And I centered that there. We took a measurement and we're at, of the cowl, of course. We're like 17, we said, I believe. And then what we did was we found our Y. We're going to find our X-axis now. So we're going to come back over. And again, we're basically in the center of this little void right here. And the hood sits down against that cowling, okay? And you guys can see how far we have to go out. And you guys can see right in the center here, it looks like we're good right around 6.5.
In the rib.
All right, you guys, there's our center line in the rib, right? So, going to go ahead.
Remember, it's 17 inches.
17 by 6.5. So we're going from the center line where we measured, and then,
Back in here somewhere.
so there's 17 at this little mark, and then we're going to go 6.5.
That's pretty close.
So we're going to go right there. This came in a 3-pack, but I have one on my keychain already. Remove before flight. We have a 5/16 stainless steel eye bolt with your nut. Here we have a high temp rubber gasket plug, whatever you're going to call it. You can use this for powder coating tumblers, things like that. It's 3 1/4 at the narrowest, and it's 4-inch at the top. Again, keep in mind this is 4-inch, so keep that in mind, you know. And here is our actual stack. Now, if you guys are familiar with Honda Boys, you know, GTRs, Skylines, things like that, people usually, well, sometimes people run a thing called a velocity stack, which basically is a smoother inlet for the turbo. And this here is a silver aluminum velocity stack. This is a 4-inch velocity stack, okay? I want something different. I want something low profile, sleek, and I want to be different like I want to be in all my videos. So that's basically going to be our hood stack. Obviously, this is going to be recessed in the hood, but tell me that's not going to look badass. We're going to be painting this gloss black. Eventually, if I like this, I will have the hood painted professionally, but we're going to sand the entire hood, do some gloss black spray paint. The same paint that we used to paint my axles when I did the 2008 axle swap. And we're going to center it, basically. We're going to use a 4-inch hole saw, okay? We're going to come down right here. Now, it might look close to the cowl, but again, this is where we're drilling the hole. If I have a problem with the pipe, I'll rectify that problem later, but I want the stack off to the side. You know, 6-liter stacks usually come closer to the center line like this area here. But again, you guys saw we took a measurement roughly, and the AC box sits way over here. And before I drill this hole, what I'm going to do is, now we actually have an actual reference point. I'm going to take the tape measure. I'm going to open the hood of my truck, and I'm going to measure where the AC box ends and see if there's any protrusions there. And then obviously if that's good, we can go back and change this. We need to go further down, up, left, or right. But you guys are starting to get the idea. And again, look how sleek that is gonna look. Now, a lot of people, some guys that have hood stacks will buy a hood stack cover. Basically it's a piece of leather that's stitched for your 4, 5, 6, 7-inch diameter hood stack. Well, I wanted to make a custom setup. So you guys are starting to put 2 and 2 together, right? We have a rubber plug that sits in there, no problem. Stainless steel eyelet, so this thing's going to sit outside. We'll drill a hole through the middle of this. We use some washers. We'll silicone this hole, okay? And again, you guys are putting 2 and 2 together. Remove before flight. So for shits and giggles, I'm going to put an eyelet. Obviously, I'll trim this so it just sits flush. This eyelet is going to go in the center of that rubber plug. These keychains, well, one of them is going to go on this eyelet. So remove before flight. The truck, it has been sitting, it's raining or snowing, whatever. You come over here, pull your mom's plug out, 17 inches from the center point of the truck. And we also came out 6.5 inches off the firewall where the cowl is, where the hood sits. Now, I got a total of 18 inches from my mark that we referenced here to the edge of the hood where it meets the fender. So to verify that I'm not going to come in to any protrusions or problems with the AC box, the charge pipes, dipstick. Obviously the map sensor will have to move that, so I'll reroute that later in the video. And obviously this mat will have to come out, so I'll take that out as well. But the thing with a 3 1/4 inch downpipe using a stock 7.3 downpipe, look how massive this 4 inches, okay? Now there's plenty of room to get a 4-inch downpipe in here, but you have the heater hoses, the box, all that crap, where 3 1/4 fits in here much easier. So that's why I'm using 3 1/4, plus it's free. So again, to verify my measurements, I'm going to go off this seam right here, okay? Because that's where the hood sits. I'm going to come over, and you guys can see, again, my measurement was 18, and 18 inches basically lines up right with the edge of the map sensor. So we are damn spot on for, you know, and I could even go over maybe 1 more inch, but really I want the stack to be center line with basically the edge of the block here where the valve cover ring, or the lip of the valve cover is. So again, we came over 18 inches and we have no protrusions or anything to worry about over here. So we are good to go. Again, this is for it rains or if the truck gets parked or if I go on vacation. I don't want any squirrels or your mom sitting in, you know, my pipe here, even though she likes to. And again, you see it easy it is. And again, this is stainless steel hardware, stainless steel washers. Use a little bit of red Loctite and that fits in there. No problem whatsoever, as you guys can see. And it's actually pretty snug in there. If you set that in there pretty well, that's not going to come out. You can either pull it by the tag, which probably eventually will break, but worst case scenario, you come over here with a finger and you pull it out. So there's that. All right, went ahead, verified my pilot hole is 18 inches away from the edge. Using a Ledix 5-inch hole saw bit, went ahead and got our pilot hole, some WD-40. Put some headphones on. Make sure you guys put this down in a low gear. You don't want it to twist or snap your wrist. It really hurts. I like to take some WD-40 and just lube this up. All right, so I'll just come in, insert bit. Make sure it's all right, so we're through the hood. You guys can see we have to cut this inner brace now. We might have to go back and put a retaining bracket underneath it to kind of sturdy up the hood some. But there's a good plug if you guys need it for anything. Big hole all the way around. I wanted to do this before we paint the hood. Again, this is just going to get a simple spray job with some gloss black paint and a gun. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take a deburring tool, deburr the hole top and bottom, and then obviously, you guys know, this is a 4-inch hole. That's gonna fit freaking perfect. Look at that. Now it sits nice and flush, and obviously I'm going to mount this. I'll take care of that later, but I took a ratchet strap, went there around the bend, missing the transmission lines. Obviously it's touching now because it popped back. But what this does, it keeps the downpipe from pulling forward with the exhaust pipe. So take a strap, put it there, and you guys can see we have them separated. And obviously beforehand I removed all the exhaust hangers that moved or held this in, so you guys can see it's free-wheeled. I took a bigger ratchet strap, went around the exhaust pipe. Mine's just clamped on with the screw up top, and I went to the back of my golf cart, ratchet strapped it, chalked the wheels, and bloop, it popped right off. So that's how you separate your exhaust without cutting it. All right, you guys, so we're using the stock 3¼ inch downpipe. I'm gonna try to retain that heat shield if I can, because that'll be pretty good. And then you guys can see, just use a Sawzall. I cut it where it was starting to go down, because obviously the orientation, you guys know, this would sit down like this. So what we can go ahead and do now is see how we're gonna need to bend this. I'm gonna have to make a slit, obviously, because we need to pull this pipe inward. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna finagle this in off camera. I'm gonna have to make a slit back here. So we're gonna have to basically notch it halfway. Then we're gonna have to pull this upper pipe in like that. All right, you guys, I don't have a TIG welder. You guys know that. I'm using flux core. I don't have any shielding gas. So we're kind of balling on a budget here, but anyways, you can see, went ahead, got my first pie cut. I took, let's see, probably 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches out. And this is the second time I test fitted it, but I basically need to get this flange a little bit more till the 3 o'clock, just a hair, and then we'll use this pie cut, come back and patch it in. And obviously I'm gonna grind down these tacks, but other than that, we're almost there. All right, you guys, go ahead, take your AC cover off if you have one. Remove your map sensor, 3 10mm bolts. Remove your plug, slide the safety down, push the tab in, it'll come right out. Go ahead, remove your map reference line, it goes in the spider intake. Now we have all this room here. So now the downpipe, I went ahead and took it out. It fits in here well, but it was rubbing on this stud here. All right, so I went ahead and took the cold side piping off to make it easier. And you guys can see this is what our velocity stack's gonna look like. Eventually I'll get this hood painted if I like it enough, but the black actually doesn't look that bad, believe it or not. But you guys ready? Ka-chow. There it is. Here it is. You guys can see we still have plenty of room back here behind the pipe. So when we close the hood, we don't have to worry about that. Here's the finished hood stack pipe. I showed you guys a little bit, but really making a hood stack, it's very self-explanatory. Like you guys saw, you have to make this more than a 90. It still looks like a 90, but it's probably about 110 degree bend here. You could always go to a shop and have this mandrel bent on a 3-inch piece of pipe. But anyways, I used the stock flange off the stock downpipe. Obviously, you guys know this is all stock downpipe, 3¼ inch exhaust pipe. Went ahead and heat wrapped it using the Amazon special heat wrap with the stainless steel clamps. Went all the way up, came back down, and then I reused a piece of heat shield off the stock downpipe because that's where the heater lines are going to be, and it's a nice little finishing touch. And make sure when you guys do this, wear gloves because I'm still dealing with fiberglass shavings inside my skin, and it's really irritating. So just be mindful of that. I went ahead and I also hit it with some high temp VHT paint. The only thing I had was gold. Obviously this will burn off, but I just didn't want the welds or anything on the inside of the pipe to rust. We went ahead, deburred this, cleaned it, and then we're going to have to shave this little plug down some because this pipe protrudes upward some inside the actual velocity stack, which is okay. Because I wanted this a little bit taller so the wind creates a vortex to basically take the smoke or the fumes and put them over the top of the truck, where if I was to leave this a little bit short, the wind could basically cause like an air dam effect where it's getting sucked in like a vacuum. It's weird how aerodynamics works, trust me. But it can actually take the soot and suck it back in the engine bay and cover the entire engine bay full of soot, and yeah. So not that my truck's a smoke train, but you guys get it. So we're gonna have to cut this plug in half. That'll be for when I park it in a rainy situation. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead, throw this bad boy on. And again, that heat shield's a nice little touch. So we'll get up here. And I did take the cold side out just to make it easier to get this in here. And then you guys kind of get the gist of the idea here. And I still got to zip tie the heater lines up, but there's a rough picture for you. Reused the stock clamp with a new bolt and new nut. Had to take a cheetah bar, stick it in here, and persuade it a little bit over here to the left. Still have to move my map sensor. All I'm going to do is just cut the bracket, turn it a little bit, and then extend the line. And then the cold side should be able to get in here no problem. Had to bend the dipstick to the 3 o'clock, about an inch, inch and a half. And then you guys can see we still have a little bit of room underneath the heater lines. They can kind of do their own thing, but you guys notice I'm missing my insulation wrap on the AC box, and here it is, pizza. Anyways, for me, pressure washing the engine bay was kind of eaten up, as you guys can see. So instead of throwing it away, what I'm simply going to do is, since this has 2 layers of heat insulation, I'm not worried about the box because it still has plenty of room for airspace here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to shove this up underneath the heater lines. And then even though I still have that heat shield down there, I don't want it to be like a cooking hot plate. So it doesn't boil the coolant or boil those lines. I'm gonna just shove this piece that I folded up on itself. I'm gonna put that down in there. All right, you guys, about 15 minutes of my time. This used to be the map sensor bracket. You guys see this goes to the top of the AC box. Usually this tab hangs off the front here. I still have to spray paint this obviously, but what I did was I cut this little ear off, and the map sensor usually sits right here off the side of the air box. So I cut it, welded it, grounded it flush. I had to hit this with some spray paint, but yeah, and even if I take this off, I can still use this bracket. So, and then went ahead, ground the bottom. Not gonna worry about welding the bottom there. Top's strong enough and you'll never see it. So there we go. You guys, there's our bracket, all freshly painted. Our max AC mod will just route back around like normal. I'll put some heat wrap on that. All right, you guys, everything's back together. I got to finish the velocity stack, but I'll do that off camera. I just got to go get 2 brackets and screw it into the flat part of the hood. Cold side's back on, clamp tight, downpipe is in and secured. Got the map sensor relocation bracket in, nuts are back on it, got that plugged in. Went ahead and I zip tied that wire away from there. You guys can see we have plenty of room behind the wiring harness right there. I'm not worried about that. We have our line rerouted for our map sensor reference line. Up underneath the glow plug relay bracket, wire loomed it. Up underneath the hot side or cold side comes up, and we have plenty of slack. There it is. Sounds throaty actually. Alright, so you guys heard the before and after clip. Obviously, it's much more throatier. It's a little bit louder, obviously, because the exhaust is right here, but really, it's not that bad. Obviously, the axle dump was much quieter, as you can tell from the video, but, you know, this is fun up here. You guys can see I've been driving this, and I actually have about 350 miles, roughly, on this now. And you guys can see, obviously, this has set it up some. I didn't want to clean it. I wanted to show you guys firsthand. You can see the tag. Remove before flight. Obviously, this goes in anytime the truck's plugged, and again, you guys can see this is pretty suited up. So, now the conception is misleading information people give. Oh, you know, hood stacks ruin the paint. It gets up all on the roof of your truck and everything. Well, I'm here to, unfortunately, break that theory because it's just not true. And this is a velocity stack where you think the soot is just going to smack the windshield, go up, and cover the truck. Number one, it's all about tuning. If you guys have big injectors, which this truck has stage 3, 250, 200 over injectors, you guys think, oh, you have big injectors, it's going to set up, it's going to smoke, it's going to roll coal. It's all about tuning. It's all about keeping your truck into power, knowing how to drive it, basically. And again, you guys can see this windshield has nothing but crap on it. And do you see any soot residue? Here, I'll even lift the windshield wiper for you. Let's go ahead and wipe the windshield wiper arm. Oh, look at that. That's just normal dust pollen. Look at that. The windshield wiper doesn't have anything but normal dirt and grime on it. What about the wiper blade? Let's go ahead and wipe that. Again, normal dirt and grime, no coal, no soot, nothing is on this truck. Oh, let's look at the cowl plastic. Let's go ahead and rub my hand on there. Get down in these cracks. I'm just here to show you that this truck has no problem with getting covered in soot because there is none. All right, you guys are on wide view. You can see there's no soot up here. Nothing whatsoever, nothing but pollen, and you guys can physically see that by my fingers. This truck's been sitting here for a couple days now, and I wanted to prove a point in this video. You guys can see this is all just normal dirt, normal pollen, dirt and grime. There's no soot up here whatsoever. And even on top of the windshield, there's nothing. Also, wrapping the video up, I wanted to pop the hood and show you guys there's no soot covering anything in here. AC lines, fine. White powder coated spider intake, completely fine. Charge pipe, clean as a whistle. Normal dust, pollen. That's all that's in here. You guys can see by my finger even touching this map sensor bracket that we had to modify. Nothing. There's no soot anywhere. All right, you guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video of me hood stacking my 7.3 Powerstroke. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, if you guys have any questions, you guys want help doing your own stack, send me a message on Instagram at Powerstroke Boys. Again, guys, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.